Alright, think of the movie like this. Imagine Atomic Blonde, but 1,000 times more bland, and there's not a single decent action scene. There you go. There's the movie. Hey, what's up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Proud Mary. So Proud Mary stars Taraji P. Henson, and what this film is basically about. It's about this woman who works for the mob. You know, she was pretty much raised into the mob, and when she does this hit one day, you know, she realizes that there was a son that came along with the father that she had to hit on. So a year later, you know, she's trying to, you know, look out for this kid and whatever. And, you know, while doing that, she now creates some trouble, and now there's a lot of things that are happening. So, what did I think of Proud Mary? Now, going into this film, I didn't really have any expectations, to be honest, because I only saw one trailer to this. So I was just kind of like, whatever, I guess. You know, it didn't look all that great to me from that trailer. It kind of just looked very bland, and that's what the movie delivered, and much more, but I don't mean that in a good way. This movie is not good. This movie is pretty bad, to be honest with you. I did not really enjoy Proud Mary. Proud Mary is a pretty terrible action film, to be honest with you, because it really lacks in a lot of things that make an action movie good. And it's really bad, honestly. I really did not enjoy Proud Mary. Proud Mary is a pretty awful movie, to be honest with you. So, yeah, but there were some things I did like. I'm going to get into that first. So let's get into the things I liked, with the positives. And my positives are, first being, Taraji P. Henson. I actually thought she was really good in this movie. I quite enjoyed her a lot. I'm kind of 50-50 with her as an actress. There's things I really do like her in, and then there's stuff that I really don't like her in. She's a very 50-50 actress for me, but I did enjoy her in this film. She's definitely the best thing about the whole movie, to be honest with you. I did quite enjoy her in the film, and she was really the only character that I halfway liked, honestly. Like, I'll get more into that afterwards, but she was really the only character that I, really only cared for, to be honest with you. And I thought she was really good. I thought she actually did a pretty solid job in the film. She was really good, honestly, in my opinion. The writing is pretty good, I guess. You know, it's fine. It's, you know, passable. I wouldn't say really one of my problems with the movie is the writing, because the dialogue isn't really all that bad. There was never a time where I was like, ooh, that's some really bad dialogue. Like, there was never a time like that. So, I'll say the writing is, you know, pretty good. I'll say, you know, there was never really a time, like I said, where I felt like the writing was like really terrible or anything. It's definitely not one of the problems with this film. And I will say there were some points with the directing wasn't too bad, honestly. There's some pretty nice shots. Cinematography wasn't too bad at points. The editing, we'll get into that a little bit later, but, you know, the directing at points wasn't too bad with the film. So that's really my only positives with this movie, so let's just go into the negatives now, because I do have a lot of negatives with this film. With first being the rest of the acting and the characters, honestly. The rest of the acting, I won't say it's like god-awful, but it's very bland, honestly. Like, I felt like a lot of the other actors gave a very bland performance. The only one I didn't really like was, like, the kid. The person that played the kid, honestly. He was really bad. I didn't really think his acting was all that great, to be honest with you. Like, I thought his acting was very one-noted, and he didn't really do a good job. Everyone else I felt like was bland as hell. Just, they didn't seem like they wanted to be there. Especially Danny Glover. Danny Glover seemed like he did not want to be there at all. Like, seriously, Danny Glover did not seem like he wanted to be in there at all. It's like he would say, he's getting too old for this shit, and it definitely seems like he is, honestly. Like, he is just like, get me out of here, please. I don't want to be here. Like, he just really seems like he does not want to be there, and yeah, you can tell with this performance because it's very bland and it just seems like he's there for the paycheck, honestly. So, yeah, Danny Glover wasn't all that great. So, yeah, and I really didn't care for the rest of the characters either. Like, I didn't really care about the kid, like I said. Just a lot of the other characters to me were very bland and kind of one-noted. The way some situations are kind of handled in this movie were kind of like really? Like it just, I didn't think they were handled all that well, especially something that happens very early on in the movie. You know what I mean? Like I just felt like just some situations that do happen in this film weren't handled in the best proper way. You know what I mean? The action sequences. Oh boy, the action sequences. Oh my god! Within the first action sequence, like the first major action sequence we see in the film, I was like, oh no. Like, oh my. It is so poorly filmed, so poorly choreographed. Like, it is awful. Like, the action sequences, all of them, I thought were terrible in this movie. They are some god-awful action sequences. Like, they are poorly filmed, poorly executed, poorly choreographed. There are some really terrible action sequences, in my opinion. I really did not like them. They are pretty bad, honestly. Definitely some of the worst I've seen all year in terms of action sequences. Like, my God Almighty, are they terrible? I really didn't, I didn't feel the bond between Taraji P. Henson and the kid. I really didn't feel no bond. I didn't really care about it, honestly. Like, I just didn't feel like they handled it in the way that they should have. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like they really didn't make it seem like you didn't want to care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just very bland, the relationship. And it's just poorly handled, in my opinion. Like, I think it's not that well handled, to be honest with you. And I could have cared less about this relationship between the both of them because it's just not well done, honestly. It just kind of feels like it needs to be there. It's like a plot device, basically. Like, it's just there to just serve the story. That's it. That's all I felt like it was there for. Nothing more, nothing less, honestly. So, yeah, and speaking of the story is very bland. It's a very generic, you know, paint by the numbers story, honestly. Like, I felt like it was really predictable. I saw where things were going in this movie, and it's not that great. I wasn't invested in it, honestly. Like, it's a very uninvesting story. Like, I really didn't feel like I cared, honestly. Like, it's a very uneventful and very uninvesting story, to be honest with you. Like, I could care less of what was going on. So, I thought the story was pretty bland. The directing is really not that great for the most part, honestly. Like I said, there are some good shots in the film, but for the most part, really, I think it's very poorly directed. Not necessarily in like, it's like, oh, terrible, but it's very bland, the directing, honestly. Like, it's very blandly shot, and the cinematography really isn't the greatest for the most part, honestly. Like, it's just not really the best, like, directed, honestly. Like, it's really not that great. But the editing, however, oh God Almighty, the two worst things about this movie are the action sequences and the editing. The editing with this movie might be the worst. Listen, I had to really think about this, but the editing, my God, it's terrible. But I will say it's definitely one of the worst edited films I've seen all year, because, oh my God, the editing is really bad with this movie. Like, it is so poorly edited. Like, who edited this movie? Like, there's one scene, like, that was so weirdly edited. Like, let's just say one character is getting a little bit too touchy with another character. And the editing with that scene was really weird. Like, just the way that was handled, I was just like, what is this editing? Like, and just the way it's edited with, like, the action sequences, even just... It's so bad. The editing is, like, really, really terrible with this film. Like, the editing is very, very bad. I thought this was so poorly edited, honestly. I really thought the editing was really terrible with this film. Like I said, this, along with the action sequences, are easily the worst thing about this movie. And the pacing. This movie's only an hour and 29 minutes, yet I was feeling like it was 2 hours, because this movie is boring. This movie drags on forever. There's not one point where I felt invested into this movie, to be completely honest with you. Like, I felt like this movie was just, it just bored me to tears. If I'm not invested into the characters, the story, obviously I'm going to be bored. And I was pretty much bored throughout all of it, honestly. There was never a time I felt like I was invested into the story or really invested all that much into the characters. So yeah, I was pretty bored, and the fact that this movie is only an hour and 29 minutes, yet it felt like 2 hours, yeesh. So yeah. So overall, Proud Mary, it's not good. It's pretty bad, honestly. I really didn't enjoy this movie. It's a terrible action film. I did not enjoy Proud Mary, honestly. Besides, like I said, Taraji P. Henson, she's really good in the movie, but the movie itself, just, I wish it could have been a better movie, honestly. Like, you know, because like I said, she's really good in the film, and I would be quite interested to see her as an action star. But just, this wasn't the best way to start off with. So yeah. So it's time for my official grade on Proud Mary, and my official grade on Proud Mary is a D+. It's a pretty bad movie, like I said. I really didn't enjoy this film. It has some terrible action sequences, really bland characters, some really god-awful editing, and amongst other things, like I stated before, it's a really bad film, and I really don't recommend it, honestly. So yeah, Proud Mary gets a D+. So if you have seen Proud Mary, what did you think of it? Please leave it in the comment section below. I'm FilmFan0599, and we'll see you about later. Peace.